Hello, welcome to New Meta, a Dota 2 podcast. I'm your host Dan, but on the internet you can call me the Magic T. And joining me, he claims his best hero is Puck and Storm, despite not picking them in solo for 4 years. It's Marco!
Might have to argue against that intro, but I'll take it. AKA Taco.
The new flavour intros. And the 100th best Crystal Maiden player, according to DotA Buff. It's Adam!
Is that true?
That's what you told me.
Do you have Dota Buff Plus?
No, I'm just looking at your link.
That was Open Dota.
Oh,
so I don't know if it's the same.
The dark side.
Yeah.
Hesitancy.
We don't talk about Open Dota.
Well, I've thought about buying it, like buying Dota Buff Plus just to double check. But I have
to cross-reference the top 100.
Cross-reference, yeah. I've fallen off though. It's top 300 now. It's really a big battle, you know. There's because so many Crystal Maiden players vying for that top 100 spot.
So, the topic we're talking about today is team items, team/utility, but mainly team items. These Vlads, Crimson pipes, they're everywhere. So, why is there a Vlads in every single one of my games?
I think might be the most efficient item right now.
The best item.
In Dota. I think it does everything you're wanting from your offlane position or from the 4. I've seen I guess one of my games yesterday even had a Visage mid build it. Somebody on your team needs to buy the Vlads. It's basically what it comes down to.
The one roll can carry a Vlads.
Yeah.
A PA troll, they don't mind holding a Vlads. It's 2k item.
Yeah, although that I feel like is mostly if you have a Magnus, is when you go the Vlads PA or the Vlads AM.
I did a Dezo Vlads PA and it felt really strong.
Yeah, we don't need to get ahead of ourselves. We'll talk about hero more specifics in a bit. Let's start with why they're good overall.
Well, one of the, I guess, underrated things is that the build-up is so easy especially on Vlad's, is a lot of, a headdress, 3 super cheap items, the Ring of Bassi, super cheap, split into 2 components, and you can buy the ring from the side shop. The only thing that maybe is hard to get is the mask, but that's only 900 gold. Usually a value item is going to have like a 1200 gold item component, but these are just so cheap, and a lot of these offlaners are just foregoing boots even, because that's 500 gold.
Vlad's pre-boots on Beastmaster is, I think, the standard. 500
gold, that's like, instead of boots, that's a headdress almost, you know?
Yeah.
On like another tangent is like when you would used to play Lycan one position and you would really try and get the helm before the first siege creep at level 5. Yeah. It's almost like the same type of deal. You want to get the Vlads pre like 8 minutes almost.
Yeah. And also, you mentioned that the mask is the only awkward part of the build-up, but even then, because you can get it in the side shop, you can get your components and then just buy the last 900 from the side shop and you're ready to go. You don't even need the courier at the end because you'd naturally want the mask as your last component anyway if you're trying to stay in lane. So the build-up's incredible to Bloods.
Honestly, I'm thinking about it now. I've never actually done this in a pub, but you can, I guess my starting item build is usually 2 tangos, a salve, and I'm usually have a stout shield because I'm a melee offlaner or something, and then like a mango. I'm thinking maybe if you forgo the salve or the mango, one of the 2, you can start off with 2 sticks. One of the sticks you use to make a tree and eat for like the super efficient tango, but then the other stick just builds into the headdress. Like it's actually just going towards your Vlads from starting. So
branch. Yeah.
That might be something I want to mess around with because that's an annoying piece to bring out. It's like a branch.
And I sometimes I haven't played too much. I've played some Beastmaster, not too much, but it's always sort of fun mind games when you're not sure if you've got enough regen. You've got one branch and some tangos, and you don't want to put the branch down because you want to use it in your component, sometimes for Wand or sometimes for Vlads. So
yeah.
Also, but just while we're talking about components, still, Bassi is still such a great item, and now that there's no Aki, I think that's a buff to Vlads as well. You'd see slightly less Vlads, maybe.
That is true, yeah.
In non-Beastmaster, Beastmaster is going to build it every game because it's so good. But in like non-Beastmaster games, you'd see more just Aki on the carry. It used to be core, and now that's not the case. Obviously, it's not in the game. So you still want Bassi aura, let alone Vlad's aura. So just having a Bassi is buffed.
They buffed Bassi's attack damage as well. It's 7 instead of 6.
Yeah.
And I mean, the 2 armor is always relevant. I mean, you can honestly stack if you really were so inclined to do a Vlad's aura and a Bassi aura, kind of like how they used to do Ring of Aquila and Bassi aura stacking.
Yeah. And pushing is super strong. We're seeing Beastmasters are coming out of the off lane and pushing every tower ever. Well, all off lanes are pushing every tower ever. Side lane tier 2s are falling at like 10 often, and carries having to retreat into the jungle. Off lane's been strong for a while, but just in terms of recent changes, why Vlads are coming back. We mentioned the changes about the tower armor. I mean, huge nerfs, removing tower armor bonus in 720. That's 3 armor per hero around a tower. So if you defend a tower with 3 heroes now, your tower is no longer getting 9 bonus armor. That's huge for defending tier 1. It's a big nerf to defending towers.
I mean, they reduced the tower's armor, and then it's almost like early armor or low values of armor aren't as efficient as they used to be. It used to be like, I guess, diminishing returns the more armor you got. At higher levels. Now it feels like it's more efficient to just get even more and more armor. It's like how these hyper carries like Morphling or Terrorblade with the 50 plus natural armor, they end up having 80 plus damage reduction. Yeah,
there was a EG game in the Chongqing Major yesterday where Arteezy's Terrorblade had 85 armor, I think.
Yikes.
Actually absurd. He had Solar Crest active on him, but I mean that is ridiculous. I mean that's not why Vlad's is good. That's just a little nugget. I don't think I've ever seen armor quite that high. Mainly because no one builds Solar Crest in my pubs.
Yeah, I guess back to the Vlad's on the item itself. It's less than 2,000 gold, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, just in the last patch it's 325 gold cheaper, which when you're talking about 8-10 minutes in the game, you get that 1 or 2 minutes faster, if not 3 minutes faster if your game's a bit rocky. And then like you say, what it gives you, like you start pushing towers down more, the snowball effect you get from it, there are these fights happening more often, faster paced game, like the benefits are massive.
And then just the aura itself, it's 15% lifesteal for melee, 10 for ranged, which is huge. Honestly, 10 for a ranged hero seems pretty big.
Yeah.
And then 2.5 health regen, 1.75 mana regen, 15% bonus damage, and 4 armor. That's in an aura.
4 armor is in the early game.
Yeah.
I think pretty good. Yeah. When you've got supports which have 0 to 2 armor, say, literally, you're plus
and
4,
15% bonus damage too. I mean, the towers are just melting.
Yeah.
And in such a brawly meta as well. They're off lane, like the flavor of the month, Sven off lane. These heroes are only being put there because it's such a brawly meta, and just having a low cooldown stun is just such value in itself. And that just goes to show how much early fighting there is at the moment, and Vlad's becomes even better in that scenario because you're not looking to get that first farming item, you're looking to get that first push brawly item.
Question for the Fountain of Knowledge, Adam. It says 15%, all these passive positive effects, it says to nearby allies. Do creep count as nearby allies? Or is that only heroes? Because thinking about the 15% bonus attack damage in particular, would creep?
I think it does apply.
They get the other auras.
I have the DotA wiki up. I don't see any. I mean, you get Bassi aura on your creeps.
Yeah, you get Bassi aura. Yeah.
I'm feeling like this does apply to creeps.
Because then, that's just such a benefit.
Yeah.
And for pushing, etc.
It's wild. And then like with Sven particularly, I mean, this Vlads is so great on him because his war cry change, it feels like it's just all going in the same direction, right? It just all goes together. We're just going to run at people, and then they can't respond. We're going to do more damage, and then I'm going to pop war cry, and we're going to be even faster, and they can't trade. So they're going to have to just get off the tower because we're going to take it.
I was going to say, it is funny how it felt like, 2 months ago that everyone was, maybe it is more time than that, how everyone was saying Vlads was the worst item in the game. Item. I swear that was only a couple months ago.
Yeah, it was bottom 3 probably.
Yeah.
Worst items.
But it's great to see it back. The variety that you see in the game just month to month and how these items and kind of metas come and go is so refreshing because Vlads is a cool item.
Yeah. Just to hammer home another point why it's so good. Teams are 5-manning after a good start and just barreling lanes. I mean, we've mentioned it before, but a brawly meta, but also just a group up and push meta, especially for your carries. These right-click carries, Jug, PA, you can do so much work with just the simple sustain of a Vlads pushing down a tier 2. If you have a good start, it's that much easier to hammer home the advantage when towers have less HP, or less armor rather, less effective HP. Siege creeps, I know that was a change a long time ago, but having a siege creep with your push increases your tower damage tons. And just in general, pushing's incredible. No early game buybacks either, that's another one. Buybacks are nerfed, and certainly in TI and past tournaments, and people were just spamming their buybacks, so that's a lot harder to do now.
You're not seeing many buybacks, are we? I'll have to change that.
Yeah.
The classic Marco minute 8 buyback.
The classic Marco buyback.
Can't miss those, yes.
The classic give up a godlike streak, 1,300 gold, and then buyback on top of it. Classic 2K swing.
That happened in our last game, we have to say, and we still stomped as fine.
Yeah. That was one of my alternate intros. A man who can buy back at 5 minutes in after dying solo mid and claim it was the correct decision. That's an alternate intro. So let's talk about heroes a little bit more specifically, and roles as well. Obviously, Vlads is traditionally probably offlane item. There are some offlaners in which, it's just super core. Beastmaster. Do you think there are any other offlaners that just straight up doesn't matter what other heroes are in the game, this is the Vlads hero on our team? Abaddon?
Besides Sven and Beastmaster?
Yeah. Is Sven, it's just that good on Sven. Doesn't matter who else. He's your Vlad's carrier.
I think if you have a Sven 3 position, he's building Vlads.
Yeah.
I don't think there's... I don't think there's anybody else that you would want to do it. It goes so well together.
Marco, you bit of a carry player. When would you consider going Vlads on your carries? Mainly you want it on your right clickers, right?
Mainly you want it on your what? Sorry.
Right clickers.
Yeah.
You're not building it on your gyro.
No. So. Like I said before, PA. The reason I really like the PA Vlads, not even as a first item but second item, is I feel like it really gives a spike, particularly in the mid game. So already, say, a Dezo is incredibly cheap, and the damage you get from that, the minus armor, is a massive spike for a low cost. And then I really like the Vlads because you keep the momentum so hard, because for an item that's 1.9k gold, that 50% bonus damage that you get, plus the nice few other passives, it's a massive, relatively big spike again to hit at that 20-minute mark, if not a bit before 20 minutes. And usually the other team don't have heroes that are spiking as hard to match you in that moment of the game, and you can start just moshing it from there.
She definitely spikes hard at level 6 when she gets the crit, and then again at 10 when she gets the 15 damage talent, because that's an extra like 50 damage almost on a crit. With the Vlads, I guess, because with the crit, you got to think of that 15% damage boost like multiplying many times over because of how the crit works.
It's almost like cashing in on your power spike, like you say. So you're saying go Deso Vlads is your build in terms of where you're fitting in Vlads.
Yeah.
It's almost like cashing in on your power spike, isn't it? Because Deso already, and like you say with level 6, level 10 and Deso, so many strong power spikes, and going Vlads, such a cheap way to like double down on that spike.
I mean, you're hitting level 15, the minus armor, 3 more minus armor. You've already got the Vlads for minus whatever Vlads is. So again, talking about the kind of snowball, can't think of the other word, effective increase of percentage attack damage. It's amplified by the fact you're hitting these spikes of minus armor, Deso minus armor talent, combined with big fat Deso damage, big fat Vlad's boost. That's why I really like it.
Lifesteal as well.
And then that's.
I think the build-up's better on Vlad's to go first, though.
Really?
Yeah. I think value Blightstone's definitely a thing on PA, but
yeah.
If I think in a vacuum, there's definitely PAs that go 1 to 2 Wraith bands. I could see you going 1 to 2 Wraith bands, then treads, because of how absurd it is with the stats right now, which just get added. Yeah, the damage and then the damage from the Agi treads on top of it. I think it's like 26 damage between the two, which is great. And then Vlad's would give you the burst or the boost, and then the Deso would time up with level 12, I think, when you had the 325 crit, and then you're just one-shotting supports without even looking off of daggers. That's
the way I'd argue against that is, so say you go Vlad's first, sure, say when you complete Vlad's at 2k gold farm, you're going to be better off than the alternative build of your 2k into your Deso and you've got a Mithril Hammer, sure, you're stronger there. But then the Vlad's to the Deso is, I think, proportionally way slower than going from your Deso, massive spike. You get a few easy kills, you get your farm accelerated such that the Vlad's comes super quick, and then that Vlad's, to me, gives this double, really big benefit. I.e., the benefit to getting a Vlad when you've already got a Deso is far bigger than a benefit to Vlad's as your first item. And so that's why I kind of prefer the build-up of Deso to Vlad's. And then once you've got those 2 items, I think you're not just one-shotting supports, but you're steamrolling the enemy cores. Maybe my experience with PA is also not super extensive. It's not a hero I would spam pick, but my limited experience playing games, party, I can't remember if I played it in solo, is that, this hero can just run away with a game in 20 minutes.
I just think the Vlad's first is safer, but that's just my style of playing safer. If it goes poorly, you can always, she's a great jungle hero, especially with Blur. That is still an absurd skill that you can just take Ancients because they can't hit you. And they don't even move. That seems like kind of an ice rug.
I was blown away by that change when I saw it.
Seeing a empowered PA take like a quad ancient stack at 10 minutes. OS Frog, come on. It's ridiculous.
Doesn't even care about Prowler camps, the bane of every jungler's existence.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh, those Prowlers. Although, to be fair, I spam a lot of Lena and I love the Prowlers. It's those rock golems I can't stand.
Or if you're Shadow Fiend, he loves to raise those Prowlers.
Yeah. Just another final words, like Adam was saying, the build up to Deso is kind of awkward. That 2 Mithril Hammers is a bit sticky, and like Adam says, I think it's clunky. Yeah. It's safer to go Vlad's because you can jungle, and the build-up's nice, but either or. And is there a situation, say you were smashing a game, or conversely you were very much behind? Does that make Vlads worse or better? What kind of, or is it just core now? Is it just core on PA?
It's definitely not core. When I've seen PAs recently or seen pros been playing PA, I've seen a lot of Battle Furies. I've seen MKBs and Satanics. BKB obviously is nearly always core. So it's definitely not core, I think, to get Vlads. I think I've definitely got a personal preference for it because I like what I mentioned, how
You're
it's so
brawler.
cheap. I'm a brawler for sure, and it's so cheap and it gives you this relatively massive spike very early in the game to keep that brawling and snowballing going. Maybe, yeah, like Adam says, if you've been a bit more conservative about how you play in the game, it's, say, Dezo first, maybe not optimal, Vlad's even maybe not optimal, because maybe you should be looking to extend the game later than just the mid-game. So it's definitely not core.
It's not core, and sometimes you need to go Deso. Sometimes you can go Deso BKB.
Well, if you're going for the brawl way of playing it, then you go like that's almost like a 2 to 3 Wraith Bands and Vlads, and then you're spiked at like 10 at minute 10, and you can fight forever at that point.
That's such a strong advantage of PA, I think, at the moment. When you look at other carries, PA can, especially with different itemization, you can spike so much at different times. You can fight
right with the
forever.
The PA Battle Fury. You're going to be spiking. Let's just say that you get the Battle Fury at like 17, Dread's Battle Fury at 17. Then you're going to look at a spike at like 25.
Yeah, 25.
That's when you're going to have the second item after the Battle Fury, and from that point you can almost win the game at 25. Like, you could take a fight, get an item, and then the game, your spike at 25 might end the game at 29. It can feel like.
Yeah.
So I mean, she's a nice hero because there's a bunch of different ways to build. So
yeah. While we're talking PA, let's dust off the rest of these Vlads carrying carries. Bit of a tongue twister. Seen Anti-Mage, Troll, probably the only others?
I think maybe a general point, not necessarily hero specific, but carry specific, is the idea that, like you say, off lane is naturally very compatible with holding a Vlads and buying a Vlad, such that it's a benefit to your carry not to have to go it, because that's just then 2k gold spent elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's a big reason why I think you wouldn't want to see a Vlads on the one roll.
So you're saying that when you're considering Vlads on these right-clicking cores, your Troll, Anti-Mage, PA, etc.,
yeah,
that's situationally if your off lane doesn't like building Vlads.
Yeah, I would definitely question, say, like you say, if I'm an AM or a Troll, Ursa and Lycan are a bit more, I think, would want to hold the Vlads themselves.
Lycan's a weird hero in general.
Yeah, but say, Troll, Anti-Mage...
At least Troll Vlads gives you solo Roche, but I suppose Masked gives you solo Roche as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide in my head if I think Troll is just a Morbid Mask hero or if he's a Vlad's hero, and that would probably be more lineup related. In my last RD2L match, we went up against a Troll, and he went casual Morbid Mask, and it was casted, and the casters were really dogging on it. They really didn't like it because he was going to follow it up with the Battle Fury, and they just said that was 900 gold. That could have been a Battle Fury component, could have been a ring or something, and then you could have gotten the Battle Fury faster and farmed the map faster, and they really didn't like it.
All right. It depends how bad your game is, I suppose. If I was having a rough Troll game, I'd consider it just so I could roll through the jungle.
He had a rough Troll game.
Yeah, I'm not sold on a Morbid Mask Troll casually. Like you say, I think you'd definitely rather have that 900 gold to go into the Battle Fury. And I don't think you need it really to farm, because also your E, what you're farming with the whirling axes, with the miss percent it gives, and you've already got naturally high armor. I don't really think you're in need of lifesteal, whereas a hero like Morphling, the casual Morbid Mask, is huge because you've got such a low health pool and you're a bit squishy. You don't have this whirling axe miss spell, such that you do get a massive benefits from being able to sustain through lifesteal.
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head. Their argument was that the exact same as yours, that some people would say, oh, I'm having a hard game, I need to hit jungle creeps, I'll just get my Morbid Mask and I'll always be at 100% health. They were saying, oh, the blind on your whirling axes, you don't need the health anyways. Also, you have built-in lifesteal on the ult now, and so if it really came down to it, you could use it on a camp, because it is a large percentage of lifesteal. And then whereas you said with the Morphling, he keeps his health around 400%, which conversely makes his, or 400 HP, which makes his attack damage so high. So when you're only lifestealing like 10-15% on a 150 attack at that low of a level and health pool, you're healing like your full bar over and over again. It's kind of crazy.
And these casual Morbid Mask heroes, Ursa, another one where you almost always just see a casual Morbid. You mentioned Morph too. Is Vlad's not just so efficient that you'd want to just spend a K gold to get 7 damage, mana, a tiny bit of mana regen, 2 armor? I mean, it's almost just worth it. Or would you just not bother because your offlane is probably going to build it anyway?
I think for the POS 1, 1,000 gold for those attributes is
just trash.
Definitely not always worth it, and I think in most cases not worth it, because you're, by nature of being the POS 1 farmer, you're more isolated and you're not brawling as much as the rest of your team. You're not grouping up as much as the rest of your team. So that 1,000 gold really isn't as value. Whereas on the offlaner, whose job it is to do brawl and group up, way more value.
Sure.
Agreed. And I feel like Vlad's on the 1 is almost entirely tied up to Magnus being on your team or not. I could see it being maybe a PA would want it without a Magnus, but I don't ever foresee a world where this current world where the AM gets a Vlad's without a Magnus.
Yeah.
Because he's just going to go Battle Fury anyways. I know way back when the way of building anti-mage was Vanguard or Vlad's into Battle Fury, but we are not in the 6.7 days anymore. So
yeah.
Another way to look at it as well is, suppose that you've got this position 1 hero that Vlad's would be major great value on, like maybe a PA or an anti-mage, and therefore you try and argue, well, why don't they build it? Well, I think if it's going to be so great value, and I often think on myself as an anti-mage, I would love to have a Vlad's right now because I know my attack damage would go spike really nicely and it'll give me more sustain. In most cases, say you position 3 or 4, like it's almost worth them selling items to give you that Vlad's, because they're doing crap all else with some shitty item they've already got, or like going to build into. The value that they would give the whole team by getting an item purely just for you is likely the best option.
Yeah, and you're seeing that played out in pro games as well. There are non-Vlad building offlaners like Tide and Doom, and it doesn't matter what the hero is, they're all going to build Vlads. Like you say, if not, no reason for themselves, purely just to enable the rest of their team, enable their push and enable their position 1.
Yeah, it's just the nature of the positions. Your 3 wants to build items for the group up, and your goal for your 1 is, you have higher hopes for your 1 position than just the Vlads. You want them to get on to the MKBs, butterflies, BKB, the big boy items, not just the Vlads.
Yeah, you don't want a slot taken by Vlads too late in the game.
Yeah. So we've beaten Vlads into the ground now, I think.
Yeah.
So we can talk about some of these other items. Let's spend a little bit of time on drums, because drums is a fun item, one that I overlook all too much. And you see it built all over the place. There are some heroes that it's core on out of plenty of lanes, safe lane, mid, off lane, anywhere. Marco, I know you're a big fan of drums. When are you looking to pick up drums, or what do you think drums brings to the table when compared to these other team items?
I like it not... the perspective I have on drums is not, what's going to be great for the team. Probably because I'm more of a selfish player. I see drums as amazing for the guys carrying it, such as your Kunkka mid or your OD mid, or when I used to play quite a bit of POS 1, Ember, I'd love to go phase drums back in the day. And I really like it because it's really the brawling aspect of tanks you up a bit, which is nice, but then natural attack speed and the movement speed in particular, and then the attack speed they can get from the active just gives you that early mid-game little spike that I just love to brawl with. I've not seen it that much in recent days, and I've not built it that much in recent days, but I do really like it as an item.
Yeah, it's so cheap. So cheap.
So how I view drums now is almost exclusively as like a 5 position item, 5 or 4, because it's so cheap. It might even have a nicer build up than the Vlads, because a support can buy all of these items. Buy a crown, you can afford a Sage's Mask, you can afford a Windlace.
Windlace, and then, casual Windlace.
Yeah, then you have the 500 recipe, which is the most expensive component. So a poor 5 position can afford it, and then pressing the drums active is about more of a contribution than they can make without it. With some other item. Maybe Glimmer. Well, Glimmer is 400 more expensive, and has a much more terrible build up.
Yeah, Glimmer build up's annoying.
The point about the item components is a good one, particularly for the lower positions. I think for the more core positions, say your 1 or your 2, I think the reason it's being seen less is not because it's got worse, but just because the alternatives have got better. So now you can be building 2 or 3 braces or wraiths, which are sufficient for your early game to carry you into your first mid-game item. That's the kind of item meta, whereas in the past, or at least in my eyes, you'd see the drums as that late early game item that would then transition you into the mid-game. Whereas, just now, because of the other alternatives available, it's not as competitive a choice in
completely,
item.
You've summed that up really well.
Core heroes I have seen drums on nowadays still is OD, because he really likes attack speed and movement speed. I've seen it. This is in pubs within like the last week. I've seen it on OD. I've seen it on Razor, because you want to be able to get your link and stick on somebody, and it behooves you to stand next to someone with your cloud and your static link. And it always feels like drums is going to eternally be a Doom item as well, for whatever reason. Those are 3 heroes that I've seen it on.
It's that scorched earth drums.
You want to get on somebody also and burn them, and getting your Doom off is of utmost importance, and it does help you do that. So
it's perfect with Doom. Also, look, the point about how it builds, I think, is another one for why it's seen less on cores. You mentioned OD seeing it, and for the bit of tankiness and the movement speed and the attack speed that you get, it does synergize really well. I think a reason why, or at least I'm building it less, is because, so say now you need a crown and a sage. Well, you've always needed a sage in the mask, but a crown, 4 attributes to everything. That to me isn't as nice as when it was more bracer focused, because say I'm a Kunkka, or maybe
DK.
even just like a DK even, or even like if I'm a carry that wants to be a little bit tankier. And I know it's a kind of a weak example, but I'm less infused by building up an item via crowns than this more kind of strength orientated build that it used to be.
Yeah, I'm not even sold on drums on OD. I just have seen it. Like if I was to play OD I wouldn't get a drums, but I've seen people build it, and I guess there is somewhat of an argument to it.
Yep.
But if it was my OD, I would build Tranquils, and get my movement speed and regen from that, and then go into the Knolls and the Kaya. And I'd rather have a Kaya for 2k than a drums for 1.5k.
Yeah, it's it. I mean, OD is a whole another kettle of fish. That first item, Midas 4-staff drums, I mean, there's so many choices with that hero, but we won't even go there.
Yeah, that's just drums was a possibility.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of drums now is just, I feel like movement speed is probably the biggest component, because the attack speed you can get from your other components. You're not your other components, your other build-up items, like these wraiths specifically. And such things. It's the move speed. Like Razor's an excellent shout, and Doom obviously with Scorched Earth, he's running 1,000,000 miles per hour.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest aspects why I wanted it on OD, is because he's naturally a pretty slow hero, and mobility is so important for the mid laner.
And attack speed and movement speed is super important for OD. That's why he is perhaps the drums mid laner, I suppose, out of all of them. Maybe DK is similar as well. I mean, movement speed's excellent on him too.
I guess we'll just say that the drum active aura active ability is 35 attack speed and 13% movement speed for 6 seconds.
When you're bowling up, that is really strong.
Yeah, it feels like in my games, drums actives are entirely for retreating, or you pop it when you're hitting a tower and then they glyph. That's all the drum active is for, but hey, you have it. You have the ability, so...
The other thing that feels bad about drums is I hate it when it runs out. I mean, that's a novel point, but
6 charges.
6? Yeah.
It's actually apparently 500 to recharge the drums. I've never done it.
What?
I mean, back in the day, it used to be, I think, 875 to buy a new recipe for it or something. So.
And it recharges the charges.
That's from 0 to 6, 500 gold. You just rebuy the recipe. Yeah.
Seriously? So you go to the shopkeeper with your finished drums, you just buy the recipe and you get 6 charges back?
Yeah. I've never seen anyone do it.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard about that. It's quite interesting.
Oh, you've always been able to do it, but it was way more expensive back in the day.
Wow.
It used to be the bracer, the mantle, and then a recipe, and the recipe was pretty expensive. Like somewhere in the 800 range. And no one ever was going to spend 800 gold on a recipe for some drum charges. But now I could see the argument for a support maybe spending 500 gold for some drum charges.
In the mid to late game, 500 gold to give all your team plus 35 attack speed is pretty high value added there.
That's great value, yeah. So just one final point on drums, or the final discussion point, I suppose, is carries. And this will make it brief because I feel like it is going to be brief. Other than Razor, which we've mentioned, CK, Jug, TB, Gyro built a lot of drums back. Is that all dead now? You're never buying drums on those heroes anymore?
I'm not going to buy any.
Yeah.
Maybe Gyro, but your hope is that you have a Wisp with you, so you don't need it.
Yeah, okay, so we can just put that one to bed straight away.
I'm looking at your Chaos Knight. Yeah, I could see a Chaos Knight building that, but I could also see him building other things. He wants to chase.
See him buying 4 braces and an armlet.
Yeah. Jug is definitely not going to get a drums nowadays.
No way.
That was another... It used to give so much better stats. I think it used to give 9 to everything instead of 6.
Yeah.
And then it was almost like an ulti orb, and it was actually kind of good on stat carries. Now it's too low stats for a pause 1.
Right.
So unless you're Razor, I don't think I can think of any of them right now. Any other pause ones?
I have Mechanism fresh in my mind, but just in terms of an interesting way to build Mechanism. Shadow Fiend is building Greaves. I've seen 2 Greaves Shadow Fiends in both of my last games with Shadow Fiends. I think this is the new flavour, Greaves Shadow Fiend, which means we just talk about Greaves in general. Where do you think Greaves fits into the equation versus Crimson Guard and Pipe? Because I never know. I'm always unsure when to go Greaves.
I think I like Greaves much more than I like Mech. if I had to choose out of all these aura items, I feel like mech is the worst out of all of them. But Greaves is sick. So
yeah,
but it's also way more expensive. It's 2,500 gold more.
Yeah.
I'm including the cost of the orb for the arcane boots, not the boots themselves. Then I guess it's 3,000 gold more, but you're going to have boots anyways.
Yeah.
The recipe is absurd. It's 1,600. So,
but that's why it's so great, because again, this idea of build up and the items that you need to get these bigger items, the fact that to get the greaves you need arcane boots, it's like, well, yeah, I've got them already. They're a great first item. So it's only looking for this 1.67k recipe to make the jump from mech to greaves. And if you see it as just this 1.67k investment to get greaves, that to me is incredibly strong, because greaves are unbelievably good.
So mech is basically just a component of greaves, you think, if you have arcane boots already?
I mean, it's burst heal, 275 health, and 2 armor in the radius. That's pretty good, but it's still, the mana cost is still nerfed from way back in the day. It used to be every mid built a mech, which included Shadow Fiend, but that was before the Greaves days. So your mid Shadow Fiend would go mech. Then they nerfed it to where now only int heroes kind of want to do the mech because it's 225 mana. That's a lot of mana for a non-int hero to use, which Shadow Fiend can do it with the arcane boots and bottle and clarities. You definitely can do it, but it's still got the nerfed mana cost. So I just feel like it's not as value as these other items, and also the cooldown seems longer.
Yeah, the only way I would justify the mech is because it's a build up to the greaves, and again because I think greaves are so unbelievably good that it's just a component of that.
65-second cooldown. I mean, if that's the mechanism.
Well, it looks like pipes is only 60, but it feels like that effect is so much more high impact than the burst heal. The burst heal is good in like the first fight where you have it, and then it's almost like it's fallen off.
Also, when you use mech and you give +2 armor to everyone, that's just a basilisk. It's literally like nothing.
And we've just been talking about Vlads, and it's cheaper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Vlads is already given that component.
The pipes 400 magic block feels like more relevant at all stages of.
Definitely,
but, the Greaves though does have the, I don't know what you call the aura when you're low.
The passive. When you're low, oh my god, that passive is just unappreciated how strong it is. 16 HP regen, 15 armor. 15 armor is astounding how good that is. So you go below 20% and you get these two effects. Oh my god, I swear it's just not appreciated how much value.
Yeah, the passive is super underappreciated. People think of it as a mech a mech that gives you mana.
There's so much more to it than that. Also, the fact it's a 40-second cooldown to give you 300 HP and mana, it's more than a third shorter than mech. And it's 0 mana cost anyway.
And you have it on your mid dazzle anyway, so it's like 10-second cooldown all.
Yeah.
And the other underrated biggest part especially for initiator heroes or certain roles, especially thinking about Tide Hunter, is the cleanse. Is the dispel on using the Greaves. You can purge your silence and or purge debuffs. It's really huge for heroes like that.
Yeah, when you got these kind of frontlining Tide, whatever, strength heroes that are running in trying to soak and getting slapped with spells, then to be able to basic dispel.
Yeah.
Really strong.
Another thing, when comparing mech to sort of Crimson Guard and Pipe, we haven't really talked about Crimson at all, so can enter that into the discussion slightly. With the cooldown so high, just the aura I think's stronger for Pipe versus mech. 10% magic resistance is quite nice. It's like a cloak aura, and obviously the 3 HP regen just seems like a casually it's stronger anyway.
Which one's casually stronger? The pipe?
The pipe,
because I know the mech aura gives a higher HP regen, but 10% magic resistance is just good. Gives you more effective HP.
I mean, it's way stronger than 1.5 more HP regen. 10% magic is significant.
Also, this is a separate point now. Moving away from mech, Crimson Guard and Pipe have also, similar to Vlads, they have incredible build up. Hood and Vanguard are exceptional items on their own. Yeah. So you can casually build a Hood or casually build a Vanguard, come back for the Crimson and the Pipe. So that's why they're being built more now, because the build up for those items is excellent as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you're running a hero like Underlord or Axe, even these Axe casual Vanguard, get that game enabling item like the Blink, you're always just going to come back for the Crimson because it's such a strong item, and the build up once you've got the Vanguard is natural.
The value. So
and the Vanguard's the worst one to build out of the Pipe and the Crimson. Like, it's the hardest to build up item out of all of them because of the Secret Shop, the 1100 gold Vit booster. Yeah. It's always it feels so bad to have to go and pick one up.
Am I the only one here that always sells their Stout Shield for slots and then forgets that it's a component?
I do that on carries for Abyssal, and I'm like, so you've got to go home for a Stout Shield.
Yeah.
And Buckler's great. Buckler is such an underused item.
That's true.
I've seen even in the major, they had a Crimson Guard on their team, and then just a team. I don't remember the team. They had a Crimson Guard, and then a Earth Spirit also on the team just had a Buckler, because, I mean, it's five armor naturally.
5 armor.
Is it? And then you use it for 2 more for the team. I mean, that's super value.
Yep. 25-second cooldown.
So cheap.
Yeah,
800 gold, like for 7 armor. You can't beat that.
Anything particularly we want to say on Crimson Guard? I feel like this item's pretty self-explanatory. Any particular times you'd want to build it more than any other? I mean, I really like building Crimson against high physical burst like Omnislash and Chronosphere.
Monkey King ult to protect you against that. Visage, Crimson's OP.
Visage is a great shout, yeah.
I think it is largely hero specific.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of offlane Sven, and you always go Vlads, but then the decision tree becomes after that is, am I going to build the Crimson Guard? Am I going to build the Pipe? Am I going to build Blink? What does the team need? And the Vlads is a core. There's even like a change in, do I want to go phase boots or treads? But the real decisions come in what you build up after that, because you're not going to want a Crimson Guard every game, and you're also not going to want a Pipe every game. And some games you're going to want both. It just depends.
And some games you want to get Blink ASAP as well.
Yeah.
Are you looking at the enemy team when you're making these decisions, or your own? I mean, obviously it's a mixture of both, but for me personally, when I'm considering whether or not to build Crimson or Pipe or Blink, or Blink's separate, but
Crimson and Pipe, you're absolutely looking at the enemy. Yeah.
Pipe is almost always, I would say, always looking at the other team. Crimson Guard, I've built just because I want us to just brawl even more. And you can tank towers and just take buildings, and they can't contest you while your Crimson Guard's up. And it's not even that you even care what the other team's lineup is. You're just like, you can't fight me with a Crimson Guard. But the Pipe is like, I need to pipe the wave because they have a lot of wave clear. So, or, they have a ton of magic nuke, single target or something. I want to protect the team.
I hadn't thought of that element of it, protecting the wave. It's important.
Yeah. And Crimson Guard also against like Medusa. I've been facing Medusa a lot. That seems to be a popular hero now.
Oh god, Crimson I hate Medusa. Medusa's my new ban. Medusa's my ban. I played 2 pubs today. That was my go-to ban was Medusa.
It started to be my ban too because I hate playing against it.
Yeah,
it's this inevitability engine that it doesn't matter if you've taken 2 lanes of Rex. If you haven't taken the Ancient, she can win. And fighting into Stone Gaze, woohoo!
Yeah, we played that party game the other day where I was Meepo, and I had this incredible mid lane start against this Deucer. I was farming all over the place, perfect farm, going to the mid, efficient, I thought. Even stacked a little bit for myself, and I thought, wow, this is incredible. They've left me alone too long. I come out, Deucer's like a level ahead of me with better farm. I'm like, wait a second, I'm supposed to be that hero. Deucer's just so difficult to stop.
I remember that game.
That was a rough
game.
The
last 2 Medusa games I've played against, we've lost because with a large lead, because you inevitably end up throwing, because you have to use so many resources to kill her.
Inevitably end up throwing, what a phrase.
Yeah, the problem is with her is the level 15 mana steal talent on the snake.
Yeah.
Basically, what would happen was we had a Jug, and he was super farmed, but he would not walk up to the tier 3 and spin and hit. So every time he would get mana snaked, and then he wouldn't have mana to use Omni Slash, and we would just lose.
Yeah, we talk about the obviously the farming and tankiness and the mana talent and all the rest of it, but I mean, Snake is the reason this hero is insane. The mana steal is like a joke. You can't you press it once and you've like effectively done the mana reduction of an OD ult on the enemy team. Like, it's
and
crazy.
You've gained the mana, so you have more HP again.
It's ridiculous. And I think there's a tipping point with Medusa as well. I mean, we shouldn't be talking about Medusa, but I don't care. There's a tipping point with Medusa in which when she's so strong, I feel like you can't fight into Stone Gaze, and it's really difficult to bait it out and disengage and come back.
I remember us talking about Stone Gaze a few months ago when you were down in the Legend tier being like, God, how do you play against Medusa? Like, Stone Gaze OP. And then like we played a party game, so hours later or something. Or I'm sure we did play a party game against Medusa, and we just showcased the run away from Stone Gaze, then re-engage strategy. And
I've definitely cried about Stone Gaze.
You have definitely cried about Stone Gaze.
Because it's a slow. It's really strong. But I guess the goal is she casts the Stone Gaze, right? It's a huge amount of mana. It's 200, so that's a lot of her HP she's using for the ability. If you can run away, not get hit by a snake, and then collapse on her after, maybe you can kill her.
Yeah, what I think is really fun about playing Medusa in party and as a team is that it's like you're playing WoW against some huge ass boss fight, because you have to be all really well communicated and teamwork orientated. Like, Gaze gets called, everyone has to run away, but then you can't run away too far, and then you've got to re-initiate at the same time. It's like a massive boss raid, and it's pretty fun.
So I suppose one other thing to mention as well, just coming back to our topics of team items, are there any heroes you'd suggest that require pipe to be built on the other team just by themselves?
You said if someone else on the other team... So, like, if I see Alina, like, okay, we have to build a pipe. Is that what
exactly? Watch such heroes like that.
Okay, so Veno obviously is a huge one. Zeus is another huge one. I'd say they're the main two, right?
Veno and Zeus.
Alina and Zeus are big for the wave. Not even like, who cares if your carry gets Lagooned? It's like you gotta protect the wave.
Yeah, wave is everything.
Yeah.
Invoker.
Yeah.
Building a pipe burst Invoker? Not always.
He's like hybrid damage almost.
I'm not sold on Invoker because he's, I think, not... The pipe aspect is that it's this AoE. It's not this pure hive-focused damage. And I think Invoker's more of that, below one hero up with 2k magic damage rather than doing lots dispersed across the team like a Zeus with his bolt shitwood or a Veno with his AoE shitwood.
Yeah, Zeus is an excellent shout. I'd been thinking of Veno and Invoker, but when I think of Invoker, I think of a 2-man Tornado, Meteor, Deafening Blast, and that's all magic damage.
Tornado would dispel the pipe, is that correct?
If you pop it and then you get tornadoed, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm thinking on offlaner, but I'm thinking in my Underlord where no one casts any spells on me, and I see an invoker. I'm building pipe. But Underlords is just the ultimate. Underlord's the ultimate hero of you end the game with, or you rush pipe Crimson Greaves, and then you're just like, come at me, people.
I mean,
with a trophy aura, the ultimate damage reduction, Pit Lord. Yeah,
his dream trio of tanky items. Another suggestion, just having a look at heroes, is Necro. Maybe when he gets his Radiance, and he's looking to do lots of magic DPS over long drawn out fights. You could argue
pipe is good for their. Almost for the gotcha when he reapers someone and you just pop it.
I mean,
400 damage. You probably save someone. Leshrac, although he's not like usually picked, that's a hero that you would want to pipe against because of the AoE magic.
Potentially,
I wouldn't say every int hero on the other team you need to build a pipe for, but there are certain, like Pugna, could be a good one.
But even then, there's also the question of, in isolation, pipe is very good against these certain heroes, but so it's not always as simple as that. And in the game, there could be another item which is situationally a bit more value. And
Pugna is the only hero that you build a pipe against to protect the towers, right? Because you can pipe towers. I guess Jakiro maybe, but Leshrac Edict is physical, so that doesn't block.
Get your Crimson Guard out.
One of the weirdest things is seeing a throne with Crimson Guard active on it.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That is
it's
sick.
like a mini red chronosphere on the throne.
Honestly, it's a shame that items like Vlads and Shivas don't have the visual AoE effects anymore like they used to in Dota 1. Some of those were really cool.
They were visual effects in Dota 1.
A visual effect around your hero, like an aura, a visual aura from an item, so like AC or Shivas or Vlads.
Yeah. Surprised you can see anything on Dota 1, to be honest. It looks like RuneScape.
I mean, when you watch the game again, you're like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, when I see highlights from that, I can't even tell what the heroes are.
Oh, I have no idea.
It's like I can figure out who Tiny is, and that's it. Everything else looks like Roblox or something. I don't know.
And imagine playing that on a square monitor stand.
Oh my goodness, don't.
Absolutely insane.
I don't want to think about that. One thing I do want to think about though is seamless
seamless
segues, and also a couple of items to touch on, a couple of dead items as we almost finished here, to be honest. But Holy Locket, do we care?
So I've never seen it once.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Only seen it for real on Timber. Not convinced it's good. And then meme heroes, it's like Omni Knight, but no one picks Omni Knight right now, so it could be good. I don't rate it on Dazzle, really. There's so many
I don't rate it on Dazzle. There's too many other sick items to build on Dazzle with Juju.
Yeah, the notion of amplifying, I mean, I guess amplify regen is interesting, like for a Timber over time. I think we said we saw it on Pudge or considered it on Pudge, or you said you saw it.
I've heard it's sick on Sand King. Sand King level 25, get that regen talent.
Oh yeah, it just feels a bit too shit.
It's just a bit bad,
I think you have 80 regen with the Locket maybe, but then you're like, wait a second, I'm level 25 Sand King and I have a Holy Locket. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Reevaluate.
So Holy Locket, watch this space, because I do think Ice Frog will change it.
It's got to change. Yeah.
It's got to change because he's not going to let a new item just hit the dust and not change it. So
also
watch this space.
The build up to it as well.
I was going to say, can someone guess what it is? Because I don't even know.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you.
Stan quizzed this.
Yesterday. I only know because we literally talked about it yesterday.
I haven't looked. So, Vit booster, like.
No
red orb.
You're going to tarnish your reputation.
Okay. Well, I was going to say a wizard staff or whatever. Staff of wizardry.
There's no in. You don't get any in.
You're burying yourself.
Okay, I'm looking it up. What? Ring of Tarrasque, Voidstone Cloak, and a recipe.
So yeah, on the theme of building up items, casual cloak, maybe sure if there's a Venno or Zeus on the other team, justify it. Casual void stone. horrendous. This Ring of Tarask, I mean, so it builds into this and Heart of Tarask, and it's just not really an item anyone's ever needing or wanting to build, because who cares about some HP regen early game? Like,
I've only seen it on like PL because he's going to get the heart anyways.
Yeah,
but
so it's just
Holy Locket, it's going to change. We don't need to spend too much time.
Yeah.
It will change.
Yeah,
for sure.
It'd be exciting to see it change.
The DotA wiki, and it says what recommended heroes it's on. It's pretty silly. Abaddon, Shin, Dazzle, Wisp, Omni Knight, Oracle, Phoenix, Tree,
Wisp?
Warlock, and Wyvern. Like, what? Those are technically heals, but
yeah, healing as a factor in the game is just not significant enough to warrant 2.
Doesn't even have Timber. Like, Timber is probably the best hero for it because you do get mana regen.
Be calling out DotA wiki.
Well, this is probably all the heals in the game with the exception of Necro, it feels like.
Yeah.
If I ever see a Warlock buy Holy Locket in my game,
oh god,
that's a ban. Like,
I mean, if I ever see a Warlock in my game, that's a ban.
Here's the thing: is do you think Holy Locket on Shadow Word makes it deal more damage to the enemy? Probably not, right?
No.
Nah.
Just the regen.
Well, yeah, because it won't be a heal if you use it on an enemy.
Well, then why? Then we don't need to talk about this item ever again. Then
another sort of item that's hit the dust, I think, largely because it's a poor man's Vlads is Helm Dom. Is Helm Dom a thing? I mean, is it literally built ever anymore?
Helm Dom.
I've seen it a little bit. I watched a friend's tier 8 Battle Cup run, and they were all Immortal stack, and they won the first 2 games really fast, and they went into the 3rd round finals against one of the most supreme China stacks I've ever seen. Like, they had a rank 78 mid, and the offlane Darkseer built Helm Dom, and that looked sick.
Darkseer is the Helm Dom. Maybe Visage and Darkseer are the Helm Dom.
You surge your Centaur with an Ion Shell on it. You stomp someone.
Yeah,
they've been doing that at the major. Yeah, I've seen that in the major as well. They've been Darkseer Helm Dom with the Centaur.
Talking about pushing, I didn't appreciate how high the Aura HP regen was, 8.5. So if you've got that on all your heroes, 5 heroes clumped together with all your creep, like, no doubt you've got a Fury or some kind of pushing shenanigans going on. Then you get the attack speed, increase your effective DPS. It's still feels pretty potent, just reading its stats right now.
It's a push item more so than a team fight item.
Yeah.
I think Helm is underrated, though. I consider it on the same. It's 1800, so I mean, it's not going to compete with like the 3500 gold Crimson Guard in effect, but I think it's a relevant, underrated item currently. The health is huge, and the creep getting 425 move speed, that's sick.
Yeah, in PUBG that aspect is not utilized to its max.
And it's like 1500. That's like a tower tank right there. You can take towers, and there's a lot of value creeps.
Yeah.
They got a Lycan on their team. I got a troll creep, and I'm going to hold him in place. Or the fact that you can get lower level creeps, and it sets the health to 1500. So then you can get. I don't even know what this creep is. The blue one.
You can get the Purge creep.
The Purge creep is big, but the blue one with the cup. No, the blue one with the cup with the move speed buff is sick. The Kobold? That guy is Fat Kobold. Really good.
Fat Tony Kobold, the big
if I meant the mana drain one, where it zaps you from...
Oh, well, I don't think you're ever going to get the Harpy Stormcrafter fast enough for it to be relevant.
You can get the Ice Armor is quite strong.
Yeah, Ice Armor's good. Kobold Foreman. That blue-green guy, that's 12% movement speed aura. That's huge. And definitely, I mean, that's a drums active, so definitely worth picking up. It's a worthwhile creep to dominate for sure, outside of the normal ones.
Yeah.
But I think it's underpicked or underbuilt item.
Right. I think it's underpicked, but I think it's harder to execute than picking a Vlads up, say, if you're in your pubs.
Yeah.
For
Harder
sure.
to like extract as much value from the Helm of Dominator rather than.
But it is an item like
Vlads.
that I could see some position ones building over a Vlad's, like a Lycan. You're going to want the Helm instead of a Vlad's for sure. And if you're a Darkseer, you're probably going to want a Helm over a Vlad's.
Yeah, there are.
Someone else on the team will be building a Vlad's, maybe your 4 position, but the Darkseer wants the Helm for sure.
Yeah.
So I think that pretty much wraps us up. There are a few other team items.
Can we talk about one more?
Yes.
Solar Crest.
Solar Crest.
Solar Crest is sick.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's an item. I mean, it's not an AoE effect, but it is a utility item. And if you have somebody that's taking a tower and you pop a Solar Crest on them, that tower will not be around for much longer. And if you have a Medusa on your team and you Solar Crest her, you just win. So I just think it's 70 attack speed. I mean, that's obnoxious amounts of effect.
Yeah. No, Solar Crest is incredible. It's being picked up all the time now. And it's quite expensive now. It's almost 4K. It didn't used to be that much because they threw in that ultimate orb.
The ultimate orb for sure. It's definitely. I feel like it's definitely a better, higher impact version of the item as opposed to the last Solar Crest. The last Solar Crest, everyone was building that too, but
it was so cheap.
It was a super medallion, basically, the last one.
Right.
Whereas this one's like a super medallion with stats and attack speed and strange bonuses.
Yeah, 70 attack speed. Is that... Okay, I gotta look it up. How much does the Moonshard give? Does it just give 100? It gives 140. But if you gift it to someone, does it cost less? Or does it give less?
It gives half, yeah.
Yeah, 70.
Wait,
so it gives a Moonshard.
Yeah.
It's like you're giving a Moonshard to your carry. Plus 12 armor, plus 10 movement speed.
No, it's absurd. It's really, really strong.
And then if it's the enemy Medusa, you're taking away 70 attack speed and 12 armor and 10 move speed.
Yeah, I think I'm not seeing that enough. I'm not, personally, with my games, I've not seen
Definitely aren't seeing it enough. But I think Klink's Tidehunter, I mean... Also, you can throw it on Huskar, which seems to be in way too many games at the moment. It's a great item, I think, after your first team item, probably.
I've had Beastmaster games where I've gone Vlad's into Solar Crest as the second item instead of Necrobook or something else.
Yeah, I don't mind that with the right team composition.
Yeah, it's not a first team item, but it's definitely a second one. It's like you say, they've changed it to just be way more high impact, so more expensive and higher impact. So you get it. It's naturally become now a second item rather than rushing a medallion first, which is quite underwhelming when you consider Vlad's and these other team items we've been discussing.
The idea of you use it on some just right clicker makes me think of the TI. Was it the Grand Finals game when there was the Gyro IO against, was it a troll?
No, Gyro IO versus Huskar.
Versus Huskar, sorry, yeah. Was this OGLGD?
Yeah.
And there was a moment, there was one of the games where they were man fighting.
Hands off keyboard, yeah.
It was literally hands off keyboard for like 30 seconds. Multiple satanics getting popped and stuff. That's the moment when you want a Solar Crest.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the Roche potential. I think the Medallion and Solar Crest, they are half as effective against Roche, maybe, or something like that. They nerfed it. They did
nerf, yeah.
Nerfed. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, it's diminished.
But
obviously.
Even then, it's still super fast.
It still makes a huge difference.
Huge difference.
Even just Medallion makes a massive difference to Roche, even at the reduced rate. So, I mean, we pretty much feel like we've covered quite a lot. There are some other you could consider team items that we didn't discuss here, Super Urn, and Lotus doesn't really count, that's a later item, but we pretty much got everywhere. I'm pretty happy.
That was a good discussion, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good discussion. So, we ended the last episode by saying play Dota. We're going to end this one by saying bye Vlads.
Bye Vlads.
So every episode you're going to look And by the end of like 5 or 6, you're gonna have the ultimate recipe of you pick Tuscan by Vlads, and then I don't know what next episode will be, but we'll soon create the ultimate hero.
Yeah, it's this lesson is buy Vlads unless you're 5 position, buy drums. That's what.
That's the lesson. And lastly, Twitter at New Meta Podcast. And I got flamed for this, but I'm sticking to my guns. New Meta Podcast at hotmail.com. There you go. Email your questions. Tweet at us anything.
Great to hear any comments or feedback.
Really would be great to hear anything. I'd be super excited to respond to
We'd all be really keen to hear any points of contention, points of discussion.
So hopefully hear from people soon. See you next time.